Why are YouTube viewers so interested in seeing someone's dirty laundry be aired out online? Today, we're diving into one of YouTube's most viral and popular trends, the exposed video. Why do they get so many views, and how can you, as a creator, leverage these types of videos to grow your channel? All right, Grant, let's dive right into talking about exposed videos where we're exposing a YouTuber for some reason. Why do you think these types of videos do so well on YouTube?
I feel like the clear answer to me is it's gossip, and we'd like to know more about the people we watch. We want to know what's really going on, and there is that primal part of us that craves gossip. It wants to know the deets. And unfortunately, I think as humans, we tend to gravitate towards negative news and negative situations. And, we're kind of hardwired to seek those things out, perhaps as a way to overcome danger before it gets to us or something like that. So we tend to focus on the negative. We like gossip, and probably most of all, at least in the online age, there's a parasocial aspect to this where we just want to know more about the people we watch. And generally speaking, the interesting stuff is the bad stuff because of the reasons I just mentioned. So I think it's all those things. And, it can be unfortunate sometimes. Sometimes there's some dogpiling that happens. And also sometimes someone legitimately gets criticized. I mean, all of these situations have happened. And I'm glad we're covering this topic in particular today.
Okay, so as a creator, how can they leverage exposed videos to grow their channel?
So the biggest thing is just covering the most recent stuff that's going on. And unfortunately, I think the less of a moral compass you have, the easier it's going to be to grow. At least initially, I think in the short run, you will notice that you'll get lots of views. Maybe in the long run, your reputation will not be something that people gravitate towards if you do not have a moral compass. But the reason for this is if you are willing and able to cover the most recent gossip, the most recent information before you really fact check anything, you're going to get a lot more views. So yes, you can acknowledge like this is allegedly, we're still getting reports, blah, blah, blah. Like you can kind of acknowledge that you don't know, but I do feel like there are a lot of channels that they create a narrative and they rely on that narrative for views. And oftentimes, they will cover things that may or may not be true. And, they kind of get around it by saying allegedly, blah, blah, blah. And that's a strategy. It works. And then, when new information comes out, they're like, well, we got new info. We change our minds as if nothing happened kind of thing. I don't think anybody likes that. I do think the audience, like the internet, has a short attention span, and often we forget the times that when people we trusted got it wrong. So all this to say, the more you cover recent information about big creators, that's the best strategy you can really do.
Yeah, and I think the thing that makes this all possible and the thing that makes it effective is that it's trending, right? Like normally when you're talking about something, yeah, it's great, it's gossip, it's going to keep people watching, you're telling a story, people want to know all the facts about it, but it's also trending. So when, people are searching for, Mr. Beast scandal, there's more impressions for you to pop up and get recommended. And we've seen that on our channel. When we talk about anything Mr. Beast, we're getting over 1,000 views on the video. When we try to talk about anything other than Mr. Beast, it's a lot less. So these outlier videos are all made possible because it's trending. So let's go ahead and move on. Do you think that there's a line that creators shouldn't cross when exposing someone?
I think they should be very careful about what they talk about when all the details are still coming. And I think that line is actually very blurry because oftentimes if you're just reporting on the information that's publicly available, that can make somebody look bad inadvertently, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't talk about it. So as far as lines creators shouldn't cross when making an exposed video, I think the biggest thing is just like don't assume that this person you're covering is an ultra villain. You know, have some compassion, even if you are not on their side, even if you think they made a lot of mistakes. Just know that information gets updated and you may not always be right. One day you'll be the hero roasting the villain, and then the next day you'll be the villain because you said allegedly a few times, but ultimately created the narrative that was incorrect. So I guess really just the line is be aware that new information tends to pop up a lot in expose situations. And yeah, don't assume that you are the best, most moral person in the world because you're some commentary YouTuber. Definitely don't.
Yeah, and also there's a legality here too. Like, you have to use the word alleged, and that's to cover yourself legally. And I think there is points where you can cross the line and get sued and get a cease and desist at minimum, right, for the things that you say online. So it's stuff you got to be careful with. I mean, today was a funny one. I kind of helped me come up with this topic in general was there was a video somebody exposed, and I said, "Oh wow, this is gonna be juicy. I wanna watch this one." And I went and I clicked on the video, and then it was nothing but good things about this person. Have you ever ran across a video like that?
No, I mean, that is a funny premise. I think that's a good way to get people to click. I'm guessing the audience retention on that video isn't super high because they're not delivering on the title, but that also is really funny. So I've never seen that before, I gotta say.
Yeah, and as far as strategy for creators, I would say you don't always have to expose a person, right? You can expose a product, you can expose software, heck, you can expose an organization, you can expose an idea, like what's it called? Cold plunging exposed, where you go on there and you bring all the facts about why it's not effective and that too. So as you go to create these exposed videos and you're a little bit uncomfortable about exposing a creator or whatever like that, then think about, how you can do it in a more ethical way, I think, because it just seems like the algorithm loves to push out these exposed videos, which brings me to my next question. How do you think the algorithm contributes to the success of these videos? Do you think that maybe that word in the title is a trigger for the algorithm, or how do you think algorithmically it helps to get these videos views?
I mean, I think in general, people like to see exposed videos, kind of like we talked about earlier. And the more people that click on it, the more the algorithm wants to promote it, essentially. So I think less of this has to do with the algorithm and more to do with just what we as humans desire. So I think the algorithm tries to give us exactly what we want. And obviously there's a lot of spins there, and Google kind of has their own ideas of what they want on the platform, and that plays into the algorithm a lot. But at least in situations like this, I think the word exposed, yeah, it helps algorithmically in the sense that it's a big keyword and there's a big industry around it, and it kind of gets you, like, if you make a video with the word exposed in the title, you're going to be next to a bunch of other videos with the word exposed in the title, especially if you're covering the same person that you're exposing as these other videos. I think, yeah, it's like the algorithm will play a role. It will help you out. It will have your back there. But ultimately, this is driven by us.
Yeah, it's the psychology you talked about earlier, right? So if we love exposed videos because it's the drama, it's the gossip, and we see that thumbnail pop up, boom, we're clicking on it. So yes, it is the algorithm, right? It helps the click-through rate, right? The click-through rate's going to higher. The click-through rate's going to promote the video. We stick around. We watch the video all the way through because we enjoy, as humans, gossip and drama and people getting exposed for their wrongdoings. There's your watch time, right? So it all, the algorithm is designed for viewers. So I guess it does work hand in hand with that whole psychology part of it. It's interesting because I feel like these exposed videos were not super popular. Maybe they were here and there, but once CoffeeZilla came out and made an entire channel around exposing fake gurus, like people realized, like, wow, like this type of video format, this topic, right? It does well because that he grew his channel super quick and he was going super viral like when he first even started. I don't know about nowadays as much, but ever since then, do you think that had something to do with the growth of exposed videos?
So I feel like CoffeeZilla played a big role. I feel like this has been around since the beginning of YouTube, though. Like H3H3 was probably one of the biggest exposers, so to speak, in kind of the early YouTube days. Though his videos, I think, were different than CoffeeZilla's in the sense that they were more meme videos. Like, yes, he would go into information, and some of them went really deep, especially with the one where the cringe parkour guy was like suing Ethan for reacting to his videos and making fun of him. That was like a really big deal and kind of went deep in the series about that. However, generally he was kind of just clowning on people. Like, there wasn't this hardcore reporting, there wasn't in-depth journalism. He wasn't necessarily interviewing people. I think maybe he did that occasionally, but ultimately, you know, him and Gila, they just like were clowning on people. But that was kind of the first exposed video, and then CoffeeZilla, I feel like, legitimized the exposed video. He brought journalism to it, or some form of journalism. I don't know if he technically has credentials. Maybe he does, but he certainly is in that ballpark. And I do feel he brought legitimacy to it, and that's a good thing. I think it's keeping a lot of people honest. There are a lot of issues with gurus taking people's money, and you know, it sucks. There's rug pull schemes and crypto. There's all kinds of stuff going on, and it's good that we are aware of it.
Yeah, and I think that's the lesson that the viewers of this video now should learn is like there's a right way and a wrong way to do exposed videos. You do them the CoffeeZilla way where you actually are trying to bring justice to something that's wrong. Good. People will have your back. You know, your channel will do well. You'll get those views. And then there's kind of the other side where it's just gossip. You're just clout chasing. You're just clowning on people, right? And that's kind of the bad way. Yes, you will get the views that way too, I think. But maybe those are short-term success. That's a short-term way of doing it. You know, eventually you're just going to become the villain. And so I do not recommend that. So what industry are you in? What do you create YouTube videos about? Look around and see where there's some injustices happening. Create exposed videos on that. And you should come out on top with this whole kind of exposed video format. Okay, so are there any signs that this kind of content could eventually backfire on creators? Like, have you seen any examples? I think you could come up with maybe at least one example where it's backfired.
Well, I mean, definitely in the Mr. Beast case with Dogpack 404, you know, he had a big piece of information. We made a whole episode about this, but where the Dogpack 404 accused Mr. Beast's CEO of bunch of wrongdoings, of having a restraining order against him, like domestic violence, all these like really big accusations, but he said allegedly the whole time, you know. And then it comes out that, oh, it was the wrong James Warren. It was actually a different guy with these accusations and charges against him. Oops, you know, that I think did a lot of harm to Dogpack 404's narrative and credibility. I think if he makes another video, it's going to get plenty of views, but it's not good for his credibility. And that stuff happens all the time. I think with exposed videos, the danger is you want to have the most recent, most juicy stories, the most juicy deets. And sometimes that comes at the expense of fact checking, of you know, what's actually happening. And that's the biggest, most recent example I can think of an exposed video backfiring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think there's been plenty of creators that have created them. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but where people are just like, man, you're barking up the wrong tree right here. You'll see it in the comments, you know, like just people just getting roasted for trying to create these exposed videos. But okay, so what's your piece of advice? Do you think that people should try this? Let's get to the bottom of this. let's say I have a real estate channel, or I have a business channel, or I have a doctor channel. Like I'm like, let's just say this is not like I'm just a commentating YouTuber for entertainment. It's a business behind it. Should I try this?
If it's relevant to your business, so like if you're a doctor on YouTube and that's kind of your thing, you could expose somebody for giving bad medical advice, for instance. You know, you put their face in the thumbnail and you say, so and so is giving dangerous advice or something like that. That great. But if you do have a niche and a business that your YouTube channel is tying into, then I wouldn't just make exposed videos to get attention, because they do work well for attention. As far as like the work to attention ratio, I don't know if there's a better type of video. Even react videos, like it's hard to beat an exposed video. It's hard to beat a YouTube drama video as far as how well it does versus how much work it takes to put out. Would I recommend it? Depends how thick your skin is too. I have noticed, like, the few times that we've covered it, and even when I did an exposed video on Treacicle a few years back, you really have to have a thick skin, because one day, you're celebrated for exposing somebody, and then the next day, like, maybe they make a rebuttal and they refute some points, but like then people are on their side, and then they're not on your side, but then it changes, and then like people are always switching sides, and depending on what side they're on, they might hate you. Like, and you're just going to get a lot of hate. And it doesn't really matter who you are, what side you're on, or how good your points are. This is a side of things that has a lot of heated emotions, and you need to have a thick skin in order to deal with it. So, would I recommend it? If you have a thick skin, if it's relevant to what you're covering on YouTube, and if you are, like, it doesn't matter how careful you are, like, that will mitigate some hate, but you're gonna get a hate no matter what. It doesn't matter. Like, that's just what this is about.
And I think as a business owner too, you got to be careful with what you put out there, because it's the reputation of your business, and getting a few extra views might not be worth kind of going down this cringe path of exposing people just for views. So I like the idea of expose something that's not right in your industry, like expose cold plunging if you think that's wrong, or expose, if you're a dentist, root canals. I've heard root canals are like super bad. Expose root canals if you're a dentist and you have a channel, because then I think people, when they watch that, they feel value by getting the truth, and entertainment as well by the gossip part of it. And that's only going to help you build trust, right? And that's what you need as a business owner, is you need your viewers to trust you, know, like, and trust you, so that they will eventually buy from you. So, all right, that's it. Exposed videos. If you guys want to test it out, see how it does. If it goes viral, let us know in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe as well. If you have any video topics you'd like for us to discuss here on the channel, then let us know in the comments as well. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other audio platform, you can follow us there as well. And thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Later.